Where were you born?
I was born on Earth. I'm just kidding. I was born in Atlantic City, New Jersey, in our year, in the year of our Lord, 1955.
Awesome. Where all have you lived?
I've lived in New Jersey. I've lived in Oklahoma. I've lived in um, oh, Germany. I've lived in Philly. I've lived in New York. I've lived in Kansas.
Um, have you ever had to stand up for yourself because you were a different ethnicity from someone else?
Oh yeah, I mean that you just can't help it in the United States of America where race is such an issue. I have. I've always had the opportunity to do it with around people that I know and straighten them out. And many of the people who have said things um, ignorantly, not meaning to be racist, I've had the opportunity to straighten them out. Only a couple of times that I can remember that I've had the opportunity to be a victim of a stranger who have called me out of my name, and I just let it roll off my back and just kept on going.
Awesome. Has this affected you personally?
Well, in my life, even since I was a little boy, I remember. This is a long story. I'll make it short. Going, my first experience with racism was going to a wax museum on the boardwalk, and they had all these white people in all these fine clothes and garments and just looking wonderful. And then the last exhibit I saw was of an African tribal exhibit. They were in loincloths, and there was a sign that said savages. This was in the 60s. And I knew that, after I talked to my mom and them, I realized that these folks were racist, and not all black people. That was a stereotype that characterized all black folks were like that, basically. And the best thing that ever happened was for us to be pulled out of Africa to be slaves here in America. That mentality, and so that being my first experience with racism, set me on a path to find out more about who I am and how my people got here. We're all the same people, regardless of what race, because race is superficial. It was something that was invented in the 17th century by Johann Friedrich Blumenbach from Göttingen, Germany. But prior to that, there was no such thing as race. But because that is what it is right now, that set me on a path to understanding who I was racially as an African American, so I can tell my story probably better than just as good as anyone else, better than most people, because I spent a lot of time reading about history. And when you read about history, you don't just read about who you are. You read about other people too. That would be Muslims, Asians, white folks, Native Americans, and so I enjoyed history and learning about myself. It gives me a confidence that I never had before I didn't know about who I was and how I came about.
Awesome. How does your race and ethnicity help define who you are as a person?
Well, it pigeonholes. It tries to pigeonhole me into a certain stereotype, but I don't go with that. I always believe that we are what we want to be, and anything that we can think that we can accomplish, we can accomplish. And so I don't let it pigeonhole me, but you can say that I'm very, because of my race and because of racism and stereotypes, yada yada yada, I've taken it upon myself to try to educate people about the importance of knowing who you are. One of the oldest sayings in the world is on the pyramids. Is in the pyramids, I should say. Is know thyself, and that's over 5,000 years old. And I think that's very important. And a lot of people don't know themselves. A lot of black people, white people, Native Americans, we don't know our own history and our own culture. And it's pretty evident Uh, the Southern Poverty Law Center they did a survey of high school students in the school year 2011 and 2012 to see what seniors knew about African American history and culture. Almost every state got an F. Kansas got a big fat F. People didn't even know what Brown v. Board was. We have that wonderful museum in Topeka. And so I've kind of taken it on myself to try to educate our kids at Winter Workshop, not only about history and culture of all folks and both genders, but also looking at the arts and the sciences.
Awesome. Who has been the most memorable, or what has been the most memorable thing that has happened to you in your life?
Well, the introduction to racism, I will never forget when I was on the boardwalk. That was probably one of the most major things that ever happened to me. That made me want to understand who I was, and where I came from. I think one of the things that is also memorable is that most people think that black people have not contributed anything to world history or to American history. And I try to debunk that myth with facts, because it's just not true.